What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So, obviously, it is the day after the George Kambosos versus Lomachenko fight. I'm gonna be honest, man. Well, first, before I even get into that, I gotta get into this, all right? First and foremost, like, YouTube is like, they doing their own thing. They be tripping sometimes. They don't send out like, once you become a content creator, you know what I'm talking about, how they do that, they move in certain ways. So, it just kind of like makes it hard sometimes to make videos. But anyways, Tank Davis has stated that he will be willing to fight Lomachenko should he get past Frank Martin, which is a good fight. I would have to see it to believe it, man. I love Tank Davis. I've always said Tank Davis is my favorite at 135. But if you guys know how Tank moves, not so much as Tank, but if you guys know how Floyd Mayweather moves, it just all depends on Floyd, bro. Maybe they feel like Lomachenko is slowing down. I don't know what the situation may be, but I do know at one point Tank was not interested in getting in the ring. Well, Floyd was not interested in allowing Tank in the ring with Lomachenko at all. That was years ago. That was like maybe 5 years ago. Maybe they feel like Loma is declining and they feel like this is the right opportunity. We know how Floyd Mayweather moves. If you've been a fan of Floyd Mayweather, you know how he moves. He does things on his timing. So I don't know, but I would, bottom line is I would have to see Tank fight Lomachenko to believe it. I would have to see it to, I'd have to see it to believe it, bro. Like, cause I just don't think that Tank is, I don't think that they're gonna try. I don't know. I'd have to see it. Let's see Tank get past Frank Martin, and then but I wouldn't get my hopes up on it. I wouldn't get your hopes up on it. All right. Anyways, so Lomachenko versus George Kambosos is a fight that I was not really excited about because I knew what was gonna happen, and it went exactly the way I thought it was gonna happen. You guys, I'm gonna tell you something. Now, granted, yes, I am a content creator. I do this, report on boxing or whatnot, even fights that I don't want to, because I really don't even want to do this video on this fight, to be honest. But you guys can tell the fights that I'm excited for because I'll speak on them more. Rather than the fights that don't excite me. Like, I still speak on them, but this is just a fight that I just clearly feel like Lomachenko was a few levels above George Kambosos. I mean, Kambosos, he had his 15 minutes of fame when he beat Teofimo Lopez. Granted, he did beat Teofimo Lopez, but I've always, it was just a good night for George Kambosos and a bad night for Teofimo. But I've always felt like if Teofimo was the running back with George Kambosos, which I still want him to do, I think Teo would stop George Kambosos, bro. I really do. I just think that was a bad night for Teo and a good night for George. And, George came away with the victory or whatnot. But, I just never thought too highly of George Kambosos. You have to give Devin Haney credit for beating George Kambosos because George Kambosos had 3 of the belts. George Kambosos was never undisputed. Do not listen to what the media tries to portray. George Kambosos was never undisputed. He was a unified champion, and that's cool. And Devin Haney had to do what he had to do. But I just never thought highly of George Kambosos. However, I have always thought highly of Lomachenko. And I just knew that, it's crazy because I was actually at Lomachenko's first fight. It was a tournament. And I was able to, hang around with Roger Mayweather, and he got me in. It was on the undercard of Tim Bradley versus Marquez. So I actually seen Lomachenko fight live in person, but I just knew it was different levels to this, man. Lomachenko. Now I will say that from the start, I thought that George Kambosos, when I saw him coming out, he would counter to the body. He was countering real good. George Kambosos is fast. He got fast hands. And I was thinking, okay, this is a good method by George Kambosos. I could tell he was watching Devin Haney in the fight with you could tell he studied the fight with Devin Haney because that's what Devin Haney did a lot, was go to the body or whatnot. And I was like, okay, this is an interesting method. Okay, but again, like what he was going to the body, but Lomachenko just broke him down so well. And the thing I love about Lomachenko is if you see Lomachenko, he's a southpaw. He has that right hand now, but he'll drop his he'll drop and then come back up. He'll drop and then come. And what he's doing is he's changing range and motion with that. And what that does is it makes it harder for you to time. And not only does it make it harder for you to time him coming in, but it also makes it harder for you to try to get your offense off as well, because the worst thing you can do is once Lomachenko has you thinking, that's when you lost. You can't, and it's crazy to say that, but you can't, unless if you're Floyd Mayweather, or one of the greats in the past, like maybe like a Pernell Whitaker or something like that. Those are like the only few, like two people like I feel like can get in there and just think with Lomachenko. That's not gonna, because a slow pace with Floyd Mayweather is just a recipe for a disaster. I just think that Floyd would outthink Lomachenko. That's probably the only person that I feel like would outthink Lomachenko. But if you just allowed Lomachenko to dictate the pace and you're trying to follow his motion the way Kambosos was, and at times didn't even know what to do, you lost the fight. And Lomachenko did such a great job with that, man. And I just knew that this fight wasn't going to be really competitive. And it sucks because all three of George Kambosos' losses came in Australia. You know what I'm saying? Like, that sucks. You're from Australia and all of your losses were in your hometown. Like, it sucks. But it is what it is, man. Lomachenko just showed why he's levels. I mean, I do feel like if he was to fight Tank, I do feel like Tank would stop Lomachenko. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. A lot of people don't, probably wouldn't agree with me, but I think Tank beats Lomachenko at this point or whatnot. Maybe when Loma was first calling out Tank, I thought Loma would beat Tank, but at this point, I think Tank could beat Lomachenko, bro. It's just, is the fight gonna happen? But I said that to say now I'm focused on what's next for Lomachenko, because like I said, I didn't even care for this fight with George Kambosos. It was just a fight that just, they had to happen. They got, what was it? The IBF? Yeah, it was the IBF. So, Lomachenko got the IBF, and that would actually be right up Tank's alley, because Tank already he did the weights, the rehydration clause with Ryan, so why not go ahead and fight for the IBF, and that way you automatically have a rehydration clause, right? So you know what I'm saying? I think that would be really good for Tank to go ahead and try to fight Loma. I don't know how real, like I said, I don't know. It just all depends on Floyd Mayweather. I don't know how realistic this is gonna be, but I hope that this fight happens, because I want to see. These are one of the Lomachenko's one of the guys that we wanted to see Tank in there with, and it just had happened. As far as George Kambosos goes, man, look, I really don't see him. Well, you know what? I could see him I don't think he should fight somebody like Tank. I think Tank could stop George Kambosos. But I could see him in a fight with with a Frank Martin or even though these guys are on different sides of the street, quote unquote. Let him fight. I mean, he's not gonna fight Shakur, obviously. I don't think anybody wants to see that, But that's another option for Lomachenko, Shakur, But I could see him. I wouldn't mind see George Kambosos fighting like Frank Martin or Michelle Rivera, or I think all those guys beat him, but I think that's more at his level right now, because those are the more unproven. Frank Martin is going to show us how much he has, against Tank, and then maybe that'll be off the table for him. But I wouldn't mind seeing him against like a Michelle Rivera, or I would actually love to see him fight Ryu, but Ryu's gonna fight Isak. I just think that's more of his speed. The guys that are not at that top but on their way, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see him against a top guy anymore, like it's just or unless if it's Teofimo Lopez, and only because I want to see Teo get his get back. But I don't know how realistic that's gonna be, seeing how he's at 135, and I don't even think Teofimo just really cares for that. But just because I like Teofimo Lopez inside of the ring, I would want to see Teo just get his get back. So I would love to see him fight Teo. Other than that, I don't care to see him fight any top fighter, because I just don't think he's a top fighter. But I think that he's good enough, like a gatekeeper. I really do think George Kambosos is a good gatekeeper. I'd like to see him against like I said, the Frank Martin, the Michelle Rivera's, you know, the Rayo Valenzuela's, even the Pitbull Cruz. I would like to see him fight Isak Cruz. Even though I think Isak will beat the hell out of him, I just think, I don't know, I'd like to see that. I think that's more of his speed or whatnot. But Lomachenko, he needs to fight the Shakurs, the Tank Davises, like those. He needs to take those type of fights. Those are the fights that I want to see, and I know he wants them. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we can get those fights cracking or going. But all in all, you know, the fight went exactly how I thought. You know, Lomachenko wins via TKO in the 11th round by a body shot that, you know, George Kambosos couldn't recover from. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?